Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. I'm your host, College Fade. It's episode 94. At the end of last episode, we talked about the fact that we have this quest, Shards of the Tempest from Marzai. And this quest causes quite a few problems according to a couple of websites. It's really buggy. We need to investigate some rumors for it, and so one of the rumors we need to investigate is Xenos skirmish in the Sorrowful prophecy. So we're going to go do that. It's up here. Not that far away. We need to go here first. A trickle of disturbing news came from the Navigator's Sanctum over the last few days. Allegedly, there is a vast shadow following the void ship through the depths of the Sea of Souls. Mere hours before emerging in real space, the vessel shuddered. An unidentified Leviathan had emerged from the roiling warp, wrapped its tentacles around the ship and started squeezing, trying to crack the hull like an egg. Trust in our navigator's talents. The ship's navigator engaged the warp monster in invisible combat by giving orders from the Sanctum Navis. By following the Astronomican's guiding light and struggling against the mighty alien will at the same time, the guide managed to pry the void vessel from the nightmarish creature's grasp and execute an emergency translation to real space. With minimal losses among the crew and new insights into the nature of warp entities, we gained 2 navigator insight for that. That's nice. And so we want to be up here. The Sorrowful prophecy. We'll visit this and see what's up. There's supposed to be a rumor here. What's this? Auger's anomaly, not explored. Yet another world is burning before your eyes. It is covered in geysers belching forth clouds of incendiary gas, feeding a massive conflagration enveloping the planet. Thousands of years ago, a single flash of lightning or some other spark launched a chain reaction that transformed the world into a blistering inferno. Now that you know what to look for, your augers easily locate traces of the mysterious underground constructions. Examining the constructions and the discovered artifacts using the knowledge you collected earlier. The meticulous work of the tech priests and the archivists is taking forever. Even your astropathic choir master joins the effort, spending long hours in a trance and relaying messages to those who can help. But when the results come, it is astounding. It looks like the builders from the flame use their hereditary bacterial structures to record information. The artifacts you discovered on the burning worlds contained colonies of bacteria whose genes carried the message of the Xenos across generations. Their language, however, bears a passing semblance to some of the ancient samples already available to your scientists. They managed to make a crude translation of some of these records. They revealed that the builders from the flame were not originally colonizing the burning worlds. Their homeland was not a planet, but a star. It is hard to imagine what the creatures that evolved in the burning ocean of a faraway sun may have looked like, but one day their peaceful existence came to an end. The records contain a chilling legend about some cosmic horror that arrived and devoured the sun that the builders called home. Fearing the monster, they fled and no longer dared to settle on stars. The builders considered burning worlds as the most fit for a habitation, yet they went extinct shortly after the Exodus, perhaps unable to adapt to the harsh realities of life outside their stellar home. Their civilization left a wealth of unique technologies and heat-resistant materials, and now this treasure belongs to the Von Valancius dynasty. 3 profit factor gain for that. But stuff, now there's this. An officer of the Augur team reports that this world, covered in thick forests and steep mountain ranges, is of no particular interest except for one fact. A fierce battle has unfolded between a group of Xenos. A multitude of small ships are concentrated around one area, some of them heavily damaged or outright destroyed. Around the cluster of ships, scanners detect a plethora of xenoforms, employing unidentified weapons and technology. Marazai supposes that this is the location the surviving warriors of the Reaving Tempest could engage their pursuers from the other cabals that crave their deaths. The Xenos is determined to land on the planet and meet with the Drukhari from his cabal, or unceremoniously barge into the battle, whoever the enemies may be. The Xenos demands that the Lord Captain's best warriors set out with him. Alright then. Well, let Marazai take part in the melee alongside the assault squad. After several long hours, Marazai's shuttle finally docks with the rogue trader's void ship. Of the group that was sent to the planet's surface, only the Xenos returned, covered in blood from head to toe. With a smug, snake-like smile on his face, having evidently enjoyed what happened, Marazai hands the Lord Captain a blood-soaked trophy, the Archaeotech fusion gun. Okay. Marazai, that's not going to make up for you killing the crew that I sent with you. It's just not. It's Prometheum, but how much do we have already? We have 23. Sure, we'll put an extractium on it. Marazai, what kind of gun did you bring back for me? Oh, it was just a trophy. It was not an actual gun. Okay. Well then, to that. Oh. So that finishes that quest. Okay. Well, what about this one? So the 3 Sorrowful Phalanges quest requires stuff to do with your planetary projects. That's the part that I had forgotten about. So I clicked over on that tab and it says, Lord Captain, the Crucible's great sculpting is underway. Foulstone is being transformed right before our eyes into a fertile world with lush groves and clean water. However, there is evidence that the Crucible has also created humans. From the mouth of the relic came several thousand people who, speaking an archaic form of Low Gothic, demanded to be given orders. They cultivate land, build houses and production facilities with obedience, and in general have a remarkable range of skills and knowledge. However, it seems that these people completely lack their own free will, and for this the monks have named him the Touched. There is a split among the faithful. Though many call it a miracle sent by the Emperor himself and want to quickly put the Touched to work, a part of the population is frightened by these soulless creatures born from the ancient machine. They demand that the planet's learned men intervene in the great sculpting and find a way to stop the production of the Touched. Yeah, but you use servitors all over the place, so why should you care? Okay. Pronounce the Touched property of the Order of the Hammer, let them continue to serve the faithful, or exterminate the Touched. What do my officers and advisors think? They were begotten by the relic of Saint Cognitius, which means their existence pleases the Emperor. Your people must be reminded that it is so. Arrange a public ceremony of tonsure to initiate the Touched into the Order of the Hammer, and a service dedicated to reading parables about the acts of Saint Cognitius and his followers. Why don't you make the first move and assemble a mighty force from these Touched ones? If they are so obedient and diligent, they will make fine troops. Assign a loyal commander to each squad to keep an eye on them, and these strange people will turn from a threat into defenders of the Imperium. Lack of will, registering a high probability of manufacturing failure within the Crucible's sacred processes. It is recommended to dispose of the finished batch of units and halt production of new ones. The algorithm of the great sculpting requires further examination. Okay, so the public tonsure gets 2 of those and you get icons of the Touched. Sacred icons painted by the Touched adorn the ship's decks. Enemy critical hit chance and warp damage against flagship are reduced by 30%. That's actually kind of nice. Ulfar, if we do his, security +2 and we get Crucible-born Tempest, which is a dorsal plasma macro cannons which fire 2 shots, dealing 26 per shot. That's pathetic. Pronounce them Order of the Hammer, and Pascal, you have my permission. You will get the Wisdom Extractor. All allies gain 5% armor and 5% critical hit chance. The Archaeotech secrets extracted from the heads of the Touched were given to the gunsmiths tending the rogue trader's armory. All allies. Wisdom Extractor. Yes, Pascal, that is an ideal option. The knowledge will be extracted by any means necessary. The Touched did not try to defend themselves. or to resist in any way. They accepted death in much the same way they lived life, quietly and obediently. The unrest among the citizens has simmered down, and the great sculpting continues as before, but the development of fertile land has noticeably slowed without the touched. A tech priest investigation uncovered a number of defects in the operation of the birthing vats within the crucible. It was these defects that caused such strange obedience within the touched. The proposition of making improvements to a sacred relic filled the tech priest with the most profound dread, and thus Foulstone was left without its taciturn workers. However, the priceless knowledge extracted by the servants of the Omnissiah was a great reward in and of itself. Lightbringers. Okay. Well, we got a couple here. Xenos finishes us when you get more of these surgeon medikits, which are nice. More of these. Tears of Repentance, which gives blinded, slowed, disturbed. More of these. Scorchers. Gain 1 AP and immediately resets cooldowns. That's nice. So on Janus, what do we have? Secret Lair, Scriptorum Schools, The Lost, Reputation with Fellowship of the Void. We get the Fang of Perdition. The wearer gains Coercion and Lore Xenos. And we get more with the Fellowship of the Void. One of these must be completed, which it is. And then what about for rank 5? Shelter, Pleasure World. Watcher from Above. The wielder of the sword gains 25% bonus to dodge and a 25% bonus to parry. Enemies hit by the sword suffer a minus 25 penalty to the weapon skill until the wielder's next turn. That's kind of nice. Shelter. Bolt gains the Merciful Savior feat. Whenever an ally is healed for the first time in a round, damage dealt by that ally is increased by 8% until the end of combat, and it stacks. That seems... Merciful Savior. Whenever an ally is healed, a lot of my allies have a talent that heals themselves at the end of each round. Wonder if that counts. Merciful Savior. Kind of want to try that and know. The Lost. Okay. Let's do that for now. Kiava Gamma, Orbital Shipyard. The Lord Captain's presence is required. Dargonus. Bastion is complete. Okay, that's Bastion is complete on level 4 on Dargonus. That's what we have to have. And from Bastion, then we need Society of Cartographers. The Woebringer. Drukhari weapon proficiency. Because, if I'm reading this right, this is one of those times when you really need a walkthrough. So it says Bastion, Society of Cartographers. Okay. As you go through the conversation of the Society of Cartographers project, you'll be talking to Janice Danrock. And then we have to work on the rest of it. Okay, so we want to do that one. Vheabos, Lord Captain, Vheabos VI begs for help. Something terrible prowls the planet, searching for a way to wipe out the planet's inhabitants. Victims died in small groups at first, so they dismissed it as simple accidents. A poisoning, a crash, transport, a fire. But the death toll has started to rise, and explaining everything as mere coincidence is no longer an option. The enemy appears to be testing out different methods of killing your subjects, like it's looking for the most efficient way to murder as many of them as once as possible. Our picked traps sometimes catch sight of a blurry dark shadow walking among the people, but no one has actually seen it with their own eyes. Any ideas?
A predator walks among your people. Well, then it's time we became predators ourselves. Your servants can't see it and don't know where its lair lies, but I will tell you how to find it. You need to spark the beast's curiosity. Leave something it craves out in the open and mark it so that you can track the beast as it's carrying the bait away in its jaws. That is how we hunt cunning prey on Fenris. Ha! You call it your enemy, but you are mere pests in its eyes. This isn't a war. This is extermination. You are a nuisance, and that is your asset. Understand what it is you do that vexes it so much, and you will understand how to drive it mad. All that will be left, then, is to lay a trap.
Various sorts of mechanical failures, ventilation systems, emitting substances, oh, those are the accidents. Okay. So, Ulfar's advice sounds sound. We'll leave bait for our enemy. Marazai is right. Set a series of traps. provoke it to attack. Yeah, but then it's 85% and this is colors fade, so we're going to go with Ulfar. What did we pass? No, we would have passed Mara's eyes. That's good.
A glorious hunt to the cunning hunters.
To attract the enemy's attention, a lethal incident was staged. A radiation leak caused by an open transaranium container. Shortly after, a handful of this hazardous material went missing, and the wise tech priest used the radioactive trail to locate the monster's lair. Cornered in its den, the monster fought its final battle and was slain. It was a terrifying Xenos with a metallic skeletal body and a single emerald eye. Its lair turned out to be a crypt-like chamber, and beneath it was an entire fortress buried in stone. The walls were covered in glyphs similar to the mysterious patterns that the mad convicts had been drawing. The chamber also contained the dissected remains of the missing miners. The Omnissiah servants studied the bodies, the crypt, and the Xenos corpse, hypothesizing that the inhuman belonged to a caste of sages among its kind. It had remained in stasis for ages, untold, but had recently been awakened by either the mining efforts or the explosions caused by the Drukhari invaders. After killing everyone who had approached its lair, the creature tried to wake its brethren. But millennia of tectonic shifts had crushed the underground fortress. The creature was alone. The fearsome insects, the ones that assailed the colony, were the only tool the Xenos had left, so it chose to lie in wait. But when the heretics of the Final Dawn sabotaged the fortress's reactor in their attempts to destroy the planet, the Xenos grew restless and started searching for a way to exterminate the humans. Now the last Xenos survivor was dead, and so was its entire race, or at least so prayed every denizen on Vheabos VI. Alright, so we gotta go make our presence known at these places. Let's go do it. Let's go see what we can find here. So, my feathered friend, where are we? Vheabos VI, Unfinished Dark Scourges, and what is this? Society of Cartographers on... What was the other one at? Kiava Gamma. Kiava Gamma is where? Foulstone, Janus. Oh, it's Kiava Gamma, the one way over here. Oh yeah, it's Holy Delegation. Okay. Well, we'll run around and do some projects then. Dargonus has entered a new stage of development. See what Dargonus wants to do. Terrible news from Dargonus, your lordship. Your vigilant servants have discovered an abscess of treachery on our capital world, one that has grown far too large and could rupture at any moment. The informants report that the group known as the Foreman clan is actually a cover for a horrendous cult of genetic aberrations, but currently have their people in every echelon of the hive. They are traitors to the purity of humanity, traitors to the creed, rebels, and heretics. Apparently, their unholy sermons speak of the 3 sorrowful phalanges of a finger pointing the way to retribution and humanity. That's what we're looking for. What exactly did my people find out? One tenacious clerk from the administratum questioned the authenticity of the reports coming from the ruins of Scipion 84-249. He personally observed the debris removal and entered the lower levels of the fallen hive. There he discovered signs that proved Scipion had been infected by the gene plague. Thousands of corpses of the extra-armed abominations have been buried in a mass grave. He also found the remains of Achilles Scalender's people. It seems that they had noticed the signs of corruption, and the traitors, aiming to cover up their crimes, buried their misdeeds under the ruins of the hive. On the way back, the clerk's transport was destroyed, but he miraculously managed to survive. Now the heretics think that they have covered their tracks once more, or so they continue their plots, oblivious and unprepared for our attack. What is this mutant plague that has affected our capital? A horrendous distortion of the human form. It seems that they spread their poison by biting and enslaving their victims. Some of them are indistinguishable from normal humans, while others are disgustingly ugly. The heretics hide them away from prying eyes. They seem to be connected by a common consciousness and are absolutely loyal to the despicable cult. The astropathic choirmaster of Dargonus has suggested that the cult may be behind the extermination of the psychers on the planet. He can sense the ghost of a powerful consciousness of some sort. The sanctioned psychers we have gathered on Dargonus are prepared for the psychic engagement. They are disciplined, powerful, fearless, and will remain unwavering against the blows of our sinister enemy. Do those abominations look like the ones on my ship? The same cursed brood? I am afraid so, your lordship. The descriptions from Dargonus are quite similar to what we have witnessed ourselves. The same deformities, the same underhanded tactics. Either they are akin to our aberrations, or they are another branch stemming from the same foul root. So the Foreman clan is a cover for this disgusting cult. Indeed, they probably began by recruiting workers. It is easy to blend in with the laboring riffraff. Posing as a union technomats, they were able to conceal their secret operations and infiltration into the upper echelons of power. Each new crisis allowed them to gain more of our trust and resources. And most despicable of all is that they have perverted our faith. They revere the God Emperor in the form of a four-armed monstrosity. Their prayers are full of hatred toward those in power and promises of a reckoning when their dreadful deity will come and equate them with their oppressors. With us, that is. Many fools and troublemakers have fallen for their lies. Living in the secluded labor settlements of the ruined Scipione, they could act with impunity, but at least it prevented them from infecting the hives as severely as they could have done. The death cults that had sprung up through the intercession of the blood-spun web had gotten wind of the trouble and sent quite a few misguided parishioners to the Undying One, depriving the heretics of some recruits. What forces did they have at their disposal? The heretics mostly consist of workers, but some have infiltrated the guard as well. Their weapons are primarily made from repurposed industrial machinery. The cultists are fearless and will readily sacrifice themselves for the sake of their common goal. But the worst part is their psychic threat. We cannot even begin to gauge it. Some of the engine vandals could be infected by this plague, but most of them are likely to come to our aid. They are too used to eating out of your lordship's hand to bite it. Absolutely right. It is impossible to negotiate with the degenerates. Our only option is to completely annihilate them. We should start from the top. Should we attack decisively and quickly? Or should we show our hand by bringing assault vehicles into the capital and gaining an advantage in firepower? Do we quietly eliminate their leaders, or do we rain destruction down upon the infected territories and cleanse them of traitors? Halt! Raise the people to battle and publicly proclaim war. Tell the people that the heretics are hiding among them, and the millions of loyal subjects will grind the thousands of traitors to dust. May Dargonus cleanse itself of this filth. Let others sully their hands. Just one beacon, and my kinsmen will descend upon the affected hives. Perhaps they will cause some additional casualties here and there, but have no doubt, none of your enemies will survive, even hiding in their little nests.
The cleansing should be thorough. A good few wrecks of dead ships still linger in orbit after the day the Xenos scum attacked your world. Command your fleet to pick them up and send them plummeting toward the nests of this spawn, trying to encroach on your domain.
Yeah, Argenta, I think you got the right idea. We will announce to the people that we have an enemy in our midst. They should come to the aid of the enforcers, who will be attacking in full force. May the mutant heretics perish in the cleansing flames. At the appointed time, the hives of Dargonus shook from the thunderous tread of combat vehicles. An army of enforcers came to wage war on the mutant heretics. The heretics, despite having time to prepare their defenses, could not match the planetary guard's weaponry. The enforcers were supported by an enraged mob, led by a fanatically howling priest. The fight quickly devolved into a bloody riot. Everything was over after one planetary cycle. The filthy shrines and the heretic sanctuaries were set ablaze, the cult's agents mercilessly exterminated, and the rest of the aberration's strength crushed amid street battles. Only one thing filled the rogue trader servants with unease. Inside the cult's main temple, they found the den of some grotesquely enormous monster. It was empty. They did not find the beast. If the Emperor had been merciful to Dargonus, the monster would surely have perished in the fires that had engulfed the hives during the cycle. And we get the tainted phylactery, which we're supposed to get. So that's the important part. Now, 3 sorrowful phalanges. So we have to look for the rest of this. I think Janice Danrock is supposed to just contact us at the appointed time and give us a coordinate. So right now, Holy Defenders, Arbitrator Solomon's, oh wow, so heavy armor proficiency. And that is for Arbitrator Solomon Vire's armor. Well, Sacred Comet. Bolt gains the blessing of Saint Cognatius feature. All non-Xeno allies gain +5 bonus to all their characteristics and skills. Like that. And Reliquary. Piety's change. I don't care about big ass power hammer. The profit factor's nice. But I want this. All my allies bonuses? Yes. Let's do that. Yes, we're actually on Foulstone, and according to my chart, this is what you want, a Sacred Comet. So we're going to execute that. On Dargonus, what we want is something called a Witch Collector. Or Librarian. We got the Society of Cartographers, which we had to do for this thing. And so, Librarian blocks project. Oh, so we can't get that. Okay, Society of Cartographers. So it looks like the next thing we wanted to go do, let's go take care of these two because we're here. And then either Janice Danrock is going to inform us of the next step in this quest, or we can go to a particular system and possibly trigger it ourselves. I'm not sure. This is where Alcat's kind of buggy implementation of quests, convolutedness, creates some issues. The Holy Delegation. Reverend Hieronymus Delaroso has arrived on the planet for a brief visit. A great many itinerant pilgrims have come with him in hopes of finding a new home. We can accept the faithful, and we'll get some people. Organize a grand mass burning of blasphemers and the week of the faithful in honor of the Reverend. And we get more people that way. Wow. Well, we'll just accept the people. We don't need to burn anybody. Many of the pilgrims, weary from years of wandering, decide to settle on the rogue traders' colony. Reverend Hieronymus departed for another world, taking the rest of the faithful with him in search of a planet that could become their home. Okay. Why was it necessary for us to be here to progress that? I don't know, but I don't make the rules. Band of the Motive Force. We get security and efficiency. Archive of the Expanse. Provides void ship weapons with targeted data of granting 92% chance and 15% critical chance. Okay. Warp Revelations. Get the Ethereal Visor. The wearer's psi rating is increased by 1. As long as the wearer has 100% wounds, they deal 35% additional damage with their psychic powers and psychic staves. That would be great for Adira. Wow. That'd be kind of hot. So blocks Project Sky Barrier, Power, or Plasma. Okay. Tools of Killing. Profit Factor. Mechanisms. Archive of the Expanse. Brand with them. We're going to do this and get the security and the efficiency out of that. So that's done. Let's go fly over to the other system where we have to deal with. Lord Captain, the situation on Foulstone requires your attention. One of the servants tasked with the Crucible's maintenance has declared publicly that he has been liberated of all worldly concerns, for he is none other than the reincarnation of Saint Cognatius. There are some extremely questionable reports claiming that he has performed miracles. Supported by a congregation garnered by preaching, he has asked for your lordship's permission to depart from Foulstone with the Crucible in tow, so that he may continue Saint Cognatius's work and use the relic to transform worlds, ones true to the faith of the Imperium, into lush, splendouring gardens. It goes without saying that such a generous gift to the Coronis Expanse could bring great renown to your lordship, but at a heavy cost. Foulstone would turn back into a wasteland, and you would lose the prestige that comes with having charge over such a valuable relic. I wish to hear the opinions of my advisors. What do we know about this so-called Saint Cognatius reincarnate? Tiber Heike, a technomat from Footfall. He now prefers to be called Brother Pure Voice, an unremarkable commoner with no family, gaunt, unkempt, covered in scabs from working the crucible. He became obsessed with it from the day it was discovered. He never left his maintenance post, never rested, barely ever slept, fasting and living off stimulants and condensate from the relic's cooling circuit. Then he started having revelations and eventually saw the truth. Or he went completely insane. His sermons are directed at commoners, appealing to them for humility and mercy. He often speaks about his former life as a saint, and many of these tales match known legends about Saint Cognatius. No anarchical pronunciations or radical deviations from the creed have been found in his words. Yet, I have had ample experience with saintly saviors like him in the past. Whatever great cause they proclaim as their mission, they genuinely, naively believe that people really do need them. If we round up enough orphans and lepers who would trip over themselves to beg our prophet for salvation, he will soon forget all about the crucible and his holy mission. I know a few guilds of professional beggars who would be delighted to offer their services to us. The arch-enemy's lies take on many guises, but the Emperor's miracles are 100-fold stronger. On more than a few occasions, he has bestowed epiphanies upon the faithful, even those of the humblest origin. I myself bear the name of a poor orphan who was granted miraculous powers by his grace. So give me time and I will find you the most loyal agents to escort Brother Pure Voice on his travels. They will keep him safe if he is pure, or punish him should they sense deceit in his words. But I have a feeling that his rebirth is a true wonder. The Undying One does not release the souls that have come to him. This man is either lying or misguided. An experienced spinner will help him see the truth or repent the deception. We get the Shadow of the Undying One if we do hers, which is a piece of armor, 45 light armor. Whenever the wearer dodges or parries an enemy attack, the wearer gains +3 momentum. They get weapon skill bonus % to parry and agility bonus to dodge against ranged attacks. Okay, first off, I like that. I don't know if it's better than what I'm wearing, but I like it. Execute this danger publicly. We get Saint Cognatius Ostentorium. Whenever the wearer suffers an attack from a demon or warp damage, they inflict burning to all adjacent enemies. All burning effects inflicted by the wearer deal double damage if they target demons or psychers. That's kind of nice. Make him undergo the trial of purity, and we get the Shadow of the Undying One again. Okay. Jai, see to it that the delegation of doleful wretches keep our Saint Cognatius distracted. We get consecrated weapons. Their pure voice prophet has blessed the ship's weapons. I don't care about ship combat. Consecrated weapons. Yeah, so he must be inducted into the Order of the Hammer. Argenta, provide the saint with, we'll get the Emperor's Will and their pure voiced fame. The rogue trader gains 15 bonus to all their skills. Give the crucible to him. You get the Emperor's Will. Okay. So for me, given the rewards, it's going to be one of those two here gets that suit or execute in public and get this. Saint Cognatius's Ostensorium. Whenever the wearer suffers attack from a demon or warp damage, they inflict burning to all adjacent enemies. That would be good for me because adding burning to other people is good. All burning inflects inflicted by the wearer deal double damage if they target demons or psychers. I'm not sure that's worth it. I'm going to go with hers. I entrust the prophet to the care of the blood-spun web. Let my world no longer be disturbed by his delusions. Let our duty be done. The Undying One is duty. The Undying One is death. The pure-voiced prophet disappeared in a single night. They found only a strange image of a labyrinth inscribed in his blood on the floor of his chamber. His followers gladly believed that this mysterious sign marked the ascension of Saint Cognatius to the Emperor and made the cell a place of worship. Oh my goodness. That's too funny. Holy ammunition. We get weapons. Reputation with Drusians. One of the following has been completed. Okay, sure. On to Vheabos VI. Lord Captain, I have made an important discovery. When you destroyed the creature the mutants called the Sire, I felt it was my duty to investigate how the abomination had found its way onto our ship. Digging through the old inventories and archives of trade transactions, I latched onto a single name, Finger of Sorrow. More than 2 centuries ago, the drifting hulk of this vessel was discovered by Lady Theodore's predecessor. It was a lost merchant ship with a hold full of cargo. I was reminded of the 3 sorrowful phalanges mentioned by the twisted creatures. I dare theorize that this image harkens back to the name of the ship, woven into the heretics' beliefs. A third of the goods taken from the Finger of Sorrow were sold to the Drusian mission on footfall for the needs of a colonization ark, the Wasteland Wayfarer, bound for the world of Jessavon. A third was taken to Hive Scipione 84249 on Dargonus, where a mutiny broke out later, and the final third was left to the flagship. Surely you can see where I'm going with this. Centuries later, a cult of mutants emerged in every single location the shipments were delivered to? Where did this Finger of Sorrow come from? It arrived in the Expanse from somewhere in the Calixus sector. More precise information may be contained in the dead vessel's log, but I do not have it in my possession. I wish to locate the wreck and investigate it. The coordinates have already been entered into the logbook, your lordship. And so now we need to inspect the wreck of the Finger of Sorrow, which is going to be where? In the Omicron system. Okay. It is just southwest of Foulstone. So let's see what we can do. I have the magnetic storm. I don't care about that. I'm going to make this one safe. Because we have the points to do it. And let's visit. There's the Finger of Sorrow. A hulk of a merchant ship drifts through the void like a gutted corpse. The hull is riddled with gouges from macro cannon fire. The soot-covered letters on the side spell out a somber name, Finger of Sorrow. Use the augers to examine the ship. The ship is devoid of vital signs. Life support systems have long since failed. Cold, darkness, and silence fill the wreck of the Finger of Sorrow. Dispatch an expedition. A squad of enforcers and tech priests put on their void suits and dock with the ship. The vessel is empty except for the frozen and desiccated corpses of the crew. Some retain human features, but others are easily recognizable as genetic aberrations. They have been dead for centuries. Examine the logbook. The Finger of Sorrow was a common merchant vessel. The log records its travels along many of the trade routes of the Calixus sector. The last entry states that the ship departed from Port Wander on the border between the Coronis Expanse and the Calixus sector. The tech priest notes that the protocols for undocking from the station were not followed, indicating either a hasty escape or a blatant disregard for the covenants of the Omnissiah. And in the hold, it's empty, apart from a few open containers. However, careful examination points to 3 open service hatches that bear claw marks. Venturing deeper into the service tunnels, the enforcers find 3 empty nests, with chunks of purple chitin and dried traces of dark slime that is eaten through the metal panels. There can be no doubt that gene stealers once lurked here. Many of the cabins have become tombs for the bodies of the crew. They asphyxiated when the ship's life support systems failed. One of the enforcers notices a cache marked with the symbols of a fanged serpent with a sharp tail and 3 clawed limbs. The cache contains an amulet and a miraculously preserved diary. The amulet of the Ravenous Star. In the first round of combat, the wearer's MP is doubled. Relay the contents of the diary to the flagship. The diary was kept by one of the missionaries of the Gene Stealer cult. According to the entries, the cult secretly spread throughout much of the Calixus sector, although the author does not mention any specific infected worlds. He recalls with reverence the Promised Land, the cradle of faith, salty as the tears of righteous martyrs. The author's branch of the cult had settled on Port Wander Station, the last threshold between the Calixus sector and the Coronis Expanse. The cult grew and gained followers among the workers and the poor, and even managed to infiltrate powerful trade guilds. However, their plans fell apart when the Gene Stealer's kiss was granted to an unworthy candidate. This oversight led to the discovery of the cult and a bloody purge. The The author of the diary recalls with horror and sorrow how many of the pure blood children of the Star Savior perished in the massacre. The story ends by chronicling the escape of a small group of heretics who managed to save 3 purebreds and steal a merchant ship under heavy fire from the station. They narrowly navigated the maw, but the ship's damage was too severe. The 3 phalanges of the Finger of Sorrow, the pure blood star children, fell into a long sleep and became dormant. Meanwhile, the cultists humbly watched the ship's life support systems fade away one after another. In the last lines, the author welcomes death in the name of the many-armed emperor with solemnity and elation. Destroy the ship. The enforcers plant melted charges at key points on the vessel, and the explosion rips the Finger of Sorrow to pieces that are obliterated by strikes from the macro cannons. So, that's it. Wow, that was anticlimactic, wasn't it? The Gene Stealer quest. Wow, that's all it was. Some text and we're done. No mad fight with the last remnants of it or anything. That really feels like a quest that did not get fully implemented. I guess there were not enough interns that day. Well, then we have to demand answers from Calcazar, so I think we're going to save that for next episode. Folks, it's been entertaining. You know the drill. Like the video, leave questions and comments down below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Until then, happy gaming, everyone.